Hello, everyone, and welcome to Afternoon Tea. I believe this is episode 4, and so many things to talk about this weekend. Yay! Very exciting. We've officially hit 200,000 subscribers on here for Royal News Network, guys. Thank you so much for your support and encouragement over these last 3.5 years. It's been so amazing to see, and it's just been such a blessing to see the channel grow so well because trust me, there were definite naysayers this week or like in the process. And so I have been so lucky though to have been as successful as it has been. So very, very exciting. So thank you guys all so much for being part of this journey with me. And then we have, let's say, a lot of Meghan Markle things to catch up on this week because between the robbery at the Louvre and obviously still a lot going on with Andrew, I still have a video I need to work on regarding the Andrew situation. I just didn't feel like talking too much about Meghan Markle because in some ways I don't care. But oh my gosh, does this woman have some weird ideas about what it means to be normal? Because guys, you demystify yourself if you go barefoot. From the wellspring of intellect, that is Meghan Markle. So apparently her bare feet mean that she is demystifying herself. Yeah. She also steals the microphone or kind of like controllingly, like it's not kind, it's controllingly like shoving a microphone into her alleged friend's face at a godmother's bookstore event. I'm still debating about whether or not I will pay to see if I can watch the whole thing because I'm like, I kind of want to just to have something to review because I like to see the whole thing in its entirety. But at the same time, I'm like, do I really want to? I don't know. So we will go ahead and get into that as well. We have some more as ever stuff coming. And I was going to do a video yesterday, but again, I went into a bit of a different direction. And I was going to talk about basically Meghan's whole potential cosmetics idea, why it's a bad idea, why as ever I don't think is doing well at all. I mean, guys, this week, Meghan Markle put up an Instagram post talking about her crepes, which you have not been able to buy for the last couple of weeks. This woman literally went on a program with Fortune, touting her business acumen, and she's promoting a product that she has nothing to sell of. Like, this is business basics 101. And so it's just, oh man, just so much to go over. There may be a couple other things that we'll talk about as well. But oh my goodness, guys, the barefoot thing. I have a lot of thoughts on that. And it's so dumb. It's a dumb conversation, but we're going to have it anyways. But we did have a couple of super chats come in. John Masood, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. 2,000 subscribers. Congrats, Brittany. You earned it. Why, thank you so much. I mean, obviously, guys, you are a huge, if not the biggest part of the reason why this channel has grown so well. And I am so incredibly grateful for that. So yeah, it's been an awesome, wonderful ride. We also have Carol who gifted 1 Royal News Network membership. Thank you so much, Carol. We will probably maybe do, I don't know if it'll be next week, but we'll probably do like a members only live stream again. And just to have, let's say, all the members join. Usually it's just Duke and Duchess and above, but we'll have all the members join just for a little bit of fun. And we do need to do some watch parties. There's just a bunch of things we need to do. But we have Carol who said, congratulations on 50,000 more to 250,000. Yes. And then we're a quarter away to 1 million. Now, I, again, 100% believe, guys, this channel can maybe one day, hopefully hit 1 million. It has been such, again, so fun. The royal game is just been super interesting. So many things going on. We even have some criticism of King Frederick taking too many vacations. So much more to talk about. And hopefully so many events I can cover in person in the future. And I feel like have to give up a little bit of my desire to get photographs to get videos instead. So that is always going to be my challenge, guys. Always going to be my challenge. So, and we do have Diz Fan. Thank you so much for the super chat as well. And you said that, hello, headed to help celebrate my cousin who's getting married this weekend. Congratulations. I am so glad. I hope that you really, really have a wonderful time with your family and friends. And we also have Lizzie B gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. So I thank you so much, Lizzie. And we also have Dr. M as well. So thank you so much to Lizzie and Dr. M. I know some people in the chat will really, really appreciate that. And so, yeah, and we have the second half of part 2. It almost has royal wedding vibes. Well, I hope you are able to like wear your fascinator for that wedding. Maybe, maybe not, but it's just, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you have a great time with your family. Thank you so much for your support. I really, really do appreciate it. So let's, all right, guys. So now we are going to talk about Meghan Markle's feet because she apparently wants us to talk about her feet. And I have a bit of strong feelings about this just because I actually have a little bit of thoughts and feelings about this because I have like my own feet issues, but they're very different. And then I will explain to you why sometimes I talk about my feet on here and then why Meghan is being just so incredibly weird about this. Because the way Meghan Markle prefaces this is as if her not wearing shoes somehow conveys a sense of depth to her character. And I'm like, no, no, absolutely not. Your shoes, your lack of shoes, whatever, around your home does not convey any aspect of your character. It's about basically comfort. Do you like being barefoot? Do you like socks? Do you like slippers? Like, do you, like me, have varying degrees of levels of slippers that you put on depending on how cold or hot it is? Like, that's real. Meghan Markle, like, her whole reasoning here, it just, I feel like she thinks she's making herself like more palatable or more, let's say, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say agreeable, but that's not it. More like she's just like us guys. She goes around barefoot. Oh my gosh, it's the weirdest thing ever. So let's go ahead and look at it. We have it in the Daily Mail here. I don't know if we can actually hear the video. So we'll try this here real quick. Daily Mail's a little funky about its videos, I do have to say. So
I love people being able to serve themselves and having things on the stove that everyone can help themselves to. So yes, for example, you could say, "Hi, can I get you a cup of tea?"
Oh my gosh. People can serve themselves, guys, because Meghan doesn't want to serve you. I realize we're getting to the feet thing, but we'll go ahead and because if I can get like the full context of her thoughts here, I want to, but let's see if they sell this. I imagine it'll say here.
That's a lot of work if you have 6 to 8 people coming through. You could equally say, "Oh, on the stove there's a pot of spiced cider brewing and there's a whole tray of mugs there. Help yourself."
Oh my gosh, guys. So the hostess with the mostess. Again, I haven't watched this ahead of time because I've kind of been like taking a chill little bit here this week. But the hostess with the mostest, ladies and gentlemen, she has something brewing on her stove and she just tells you, oh, just go and get it. Get it yourself. Some hostess, because like, oh my gosh, it's like, especially when you're talking about like a stove and things that are hot and stuff like that. I mean, if something falls on a guest or somebody gets splashed with that really hot cider, they could sue her. Oh my gosh, does she really think that's being a good hostess? Really? Now, there is a place for that, of course, but even my mom, like when we come over, like she'll like put if we want glasses. Now, I tend to not always want a glass because I'll eat drinks straight from the bottle or the can, or I have my water bottle or whatever. She would go and she'd put ice in our cups and like help us do it. Like we can all do it ourselves, but it's just, man, she sounds like a terrible host. And she has a show about hosting. But it's like just even the safety thing of I don't know your stove. I don't know how hot the ladle is. Like there's so many factors here where it's like I would want to do it just for pure safety reasons, just to make people feel comfortable. But no, she's got something hot on the stove and you can serve it yourself, guys. She is not your servant.
Take your shoes off, get cozy. Board games are out.
Good tip.
Yeah.
All of those things where it just creates ease.
So She wants everybody to take their shoes off. I mean, nothing necessarily super duper wrong with that, but like for me personally, I was kind of bad. I went to a small group recently and I kept my shoes on because I don't really like being barefoot. So again, we'll get into my thoughts on this, but I'm just hoping we have more of a barefoot comment. But this is fascinating. This woman is a terrible host.
And what is the one thing you want to feel in someone's home is ease. If you as a hostess are dolled up and dressed up for a really fancy dinner that you're having at your house.
Well, you might be having a really fancy dinner at your house. I would not mind, actually. It depends on the event. Does she think that everybody's hosting like a 4-course meal at their house? So we're getting to the barefoot comment here because I could see it in the subtitles. But yeah, Meghan, like, I don't know who she thinks she's hosting, but like royals hosting dinner is very different than, let's say, for like official reasons, is very different than them doing it themselves. Like, I imagine Catherine, if she has her family over, it's very, very casual, like her family. But in the royal family, it is a bit more, let's say, structured. And so you will have a bit more of a structured thing, but that's sort of how it works with certain families. And that's how it worked with the queen. And that's how she wanted it. And sometimes you have to go with sort of what the host wants.
Well, if you still answer your door barefoot or with your apron on, everyone goes, oh, she's still in this with me.
She's still in this with me if she's barefoot in her apron, guys. She's in this with you. She's like, I don't get it. I don't understand why she thinks that makes her approachable to people. Because if I'm going to a dinner party, let's say, and I walk in and it's supposed to be, let's say, a nice dinner party, and the hostess is there and I'm dressed up because I wasn't maybe told exactly what I should wear. And to me, guys, I like kind of dressing up anyways. Like, I'm kind of known in my small group for like, there was, this is a true story. We were playing this game and there was like 20 of us, 15, 20 of us. And it's a group game where you have to go with the herd. So they give you kind of a random question. What's your favorite room in the house? And you have to go with sort of and guess what everybody would say rather than just what you would say. So you kind of have to anticipate the group think there. And the question was literally, and I asked because I'm like, this cannot be the question. He's like, yeah, it is. Who is the best dressed person here? And everybody said me, except for one person. Everybody said me. And I'm like, I'm getting all red because I just dressed up in like, I like button down dresses and I just happen to wear that. And it's like a little fancy, but not like super fancy or anything. But if I came to a house and I was thinking it's a nice dinner party and the hostess is walking up in a ripped jeans, bare feet, apron on, and going, oh, just make yourself at home, whatever. And it's like, I've dressed up and I'm like, okay, are you not putting like any effort into this whatsoever? And it also feels a bit like cosplay. She thinks of what a hostess looks like. And so she's like, oh, I'm just going to be chill.
Oh, she's still barefoot. Well, if you still answer your door barefoot or with your apron on, everyone goes, oh, she's still in this with me. It takes a lot. It just demystifies this pressure and the feeling. But equally, I would say for me,
that makes no sense, guys. It makes 0 sense for her to be like saying it demystifies. It makes people feel comfortable. I'm like, how? I don't care what you have on your feet in your house because my initial thought is, oh, that's what their comfort level is. So for me, I like to have slippers on. So I will literally even travel sometimes with slippers if I have them to be able to travel with. And there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, I broke my foot. So actually being barefoot is a little uncomfortable for me. Like it happened almost 20 years ago now, but I have screws in there. So I have arthritis. I actually have a bone spur now. So I'm growing more bones in my foot. So that's fun. So for me, it's actually rather uncomfortable to not have shoes on. And I honestly, as well, don't like my feet getting dirty. I don't like that feeling at all. So for me, like I am very much like I need to have socks on at the very least, but I also worry about slipping and falling because I've fallen and broken things. So I prefer to have either definitely like slippers on of some sort. It also helps me if I have to take my dog outside or anything. So, and I have varying levels of slippers, ladies and gentlemen. I have Birkenstocks with fur inside for like the summer months. So my feet can like breathe and stuff. And then I have my like normal sort of fall, spring, winter regular slippers. And then we have boots. So if it's really, really cold, I put my Ugg boots on and we hang out in the house. So that's probably a little too much information. Y'all probably don't care. But I think to me, it's just like that's just what I'm comfortable in. If you're comfortable barefoot, more power to you. I don't care. And I don't personally have any thought about what it means about your character, you know? Because to me, if you're wearing slippers, great. Maybe you're like me and your feet are a little bit uncomfortable. You prefer slippers. Awesome. Maybe you're in socks. Cool. Maybe you're barefoot. Awesome. Like, that's not me, but like, hey, more power to you. It doesn't mean anything about your character, though. It means nothing about your character. If she did, though, walk over, let's say at a normal day, because I would imagine normally around Megan's house, she wears whatever she wants and who cares? If she was like, if it was a normal, let's say Saturday afternoon and she's walking out in stilettos and this ridiculous getup, I would think that's a little weird. But if you're in your house and you just have your apron and you're barefoot, I don't know what I'm supposed to get of your character from there, but Megan very much thinks we're supposed to read into that something really grand and relatable and everything. Oh my gosh, guys, she's barefoot. It's just so obvious too. It's a little bit of an underhanded as well dig at the royal family because William and Catherine were a little kind of like, I think, put off by Megan's appearance when they first met her. Because she apparently, according to Megan, she was barefoot and in ripped jeans, like hanging out in the garden or something. But it's like, again, you have to think what was the context? Did Catherine and William go over there for an afternoon dinner and expected the host to be somewhat put together because that's what they do? And she didn't do that. And maybe as like a cultural difference, you can have a bit of a laugh. You can be like, "Oh my gosh, this is so funny. We're just so different. Let's go back and we can reach like I'll adjust and everything and they can adjust and like we can all meet sort of in the middle." But no, like you get the sense that Meghan Markle wants everybody walking around her house in their bare feet. I'm like, "Ugh." Yeah, you might have, servants who I'm sure and I use the term servants. They're just like house cleaners or whatever, who make sure everything's perfectly spotless for you, but it skeeves me out a little bit. I gotta say, I'm also one of those people where I hate when sand is on my toes and like I can't get it out. Mm. That's why I almost don't like the beach, guys. Is the sand like this? Like the beaches that like I like the beach. I actually got swim shoes when I was in Nice, in part because again the feet issues. They have actually pebble beaches, so it's actually sort of hard to walk into the water. And so because of that kind of weird difference thing, I got the shoes just because I have such issues with my feet. But it's like again, I think about my feet because I live in a minor level of pain. I feel my foot at least once a day in terms of it's painful to do something and it moves weird or whatever, or the bones are settling. I don't know. But again, I have screws in my feet. So it's like I have a reason to actually think about my feet quite a bit. I don't feel like Megan needs that. I'm like, she doesn't need to think about her feet that much. As far as we're aware, her feet are fine. It's just super duper weird. Like I just don't understand her weirdness. Like, and that she thinks that somehow this makes her seem normal to people. It makes her seem abnormal. Like she doesn't even know what normal is so much as that she says something that's totally bizarre and things we are all going to go, oh yeah, like great. And I was like, no, no, whether or not what feet you wear, what shoes you wear usually has very little bearing on your character. Unless you're walking around in like stiletto or not really stiletto, but I would say like ridiculous stripper heels. I may judge you a little bit for like ridiculous stripper level heels. But if you like heels, all I can think of is darn, I wish I could walk in them. Ah, it's just she's weird, man. I talk to my mom about this every once in a while because my mom sometimes she's like thinks she's like, oh, you're being maybe not as nice as you should be, but she's like the more she watches Megan, she's like, she's weird. I'm like, yes, yes, she's very weird. She's very weird, guys. So let's keep watching a little bit of this here to see if we can glean any other pearls of wisdom. Because remember, guys, the pearl of wisdom here is that if you walk out in bare feet, you will put your guests at ease. and it reflects and demystifies you to them. And I'm like, but who is coming to your house that you need to demystify? That's the other interesting question. Because it's like, well, don't you have like staff and like, or aren't your friends coming? You shouldn't need to demystify yourself in front of your friends. It's just really strange what Meghan thinks about things.
For us in our house, those top tips of allowing people to be part of the community, of taking care of themselves, and do your prep. Oh my gosh, you could
What? Take care of yourselves? You want your guests to take care of themselves? Isn't the point of you as a hostess taking care of them? I'm really confused.
get so much of that stuff done the day before. Get a tray with mugs on it and sit it right on the counter. You have that brewing, not like the hot toddy or a spiced cider on the stove.
Again, bringing out her like non-existent British there with the hot toddy. I feel like that's very British.
Not only does it take the pressure out for you of having to serve everyone, it also makes your house
Okay, her alleged friend there looks really
serve everyone. It also
watch
makes
her
your
alleged
house
friend.
smell incredible.
Like her messing with her hair looks like a nervous
For you of
tick.
having to serve everyone, it also makes your house smell incredible. People walk in. I told you I love fragrance.
I thought this was supposed to be about her friend, but it's all about Meghan, guys.
People walk in, they go, and what are they drawn to? Your kitchen. They come right in, and suddenly everyone is a little bit softened in the experience of entertaining.
Yeah, Meghan Markle is terrible at entertaining. I can just tell that right now. Meghan Markle is a terrible hostess. Because yeah, if you make apple cider over your vinegar or hot cider or whatever, yeah, it'll smell good. And yeah, that'll go to your kitchen, but where is but what is I just don't understand sort of what is the point of all this. And I feel like we're getting very little interaction from the audience, which I find really funny because it's like they're kind of like, what is she saying? Is she talking about? But this whole idea that, oh, your guests can serve themselves, I feel like as a host, is very much like I've been to dinner parties and everything. And yeah, sometimes it's serve and then sometimes it's self-serve. But I really think like if you're gonna have, let's say, a 5-course dinner, I understand you not personally serving it. That makes 100% sense. But like, just apple cider, just do the nice thing for somebody and pour it out for them. Pour it for them. That's just an act of service. But you just get the sense that she doesn't wanna serve people because that's beneath her. Like, that's 100%, I think, Meghan Markle, like, she doesn't think she's saying this, but she's basically saying that, yeah, serving people is beneath me. Even though, again, she's talking about hostessing, and hostessing also usually requires the hostess to serve the guests, which is what Meghan Markle doesn't want to do. But she really thinks, guys, if you show up barefoot, you're going to put your guests at ease. You're going to put your guests at ease. And it's kind of a weird thought, too, because some people have like a real foot fetish, or like not foot fetish, but are really repulsed by feet. Like some people, it's like an ooh thing for them. And I don't care either way. I've never really gotten it. But it's like if you have a guest who's really repulsed by feet and you like don't know that, you're actually probably offending them. They're probably actually really grossed out by you walking around in your bare feet. And so it's like be comfortable or whatever. But like if I had, let's say, my perfect world and I had, let's say, $12 million or whatever, because I love slippers, I would honestly have slippers I could lend to guests. I'd have like a stash of like guest slippers that they can put on so that they feel like to me, because that's comfortable. So it's like, well, if you want to wear slippers, it's totally up to you. But there you go. You can wear slippers. Because like it's just to me, it's just really, really gross and weird. And like, why? Why? And again, it reveals a problem with Megan with this whole as ever hostessing endeavor, which is that you listen to that. And number one, it sounds like she has a business about hostessing, but she doesn't really like to actually host and serve people. That's sort of a turnoff. And it makes me think again that she's not really devoted to her own stinking premise, which is to me, it's like if I'm going to buy into a brand, it's like I want to buy into the whole premise of the brand, whatever it is. And I don't. think that I buy into the premise, just in part because I just don't think that Meghan Markle herself really likes the premise. And so it's like, how can I be fully engaged in it or buying things from it? Like if I'm the average consumer, if it's like I don't really even feel like the person behind it cares that much. Because at the end of the day, if the person behind it doesn't care that much, they're not going to put that much effort and emphasis and intention into their products and into their line because they don't really actually care. So it's just very, very strange. But yeah, it's a weird thing. We do have Chantal here. Thank you so much, Chantal, saying, I do ask my friends to take off their shoes for hygiene purposes. 100%. Totally understand. But they can bring socks or indoor slippers to walk on. Sounds good. Sounds good to me. I would definitely be bringing that again. I have like slippers I would travel with. If I can, if I have enough space, I will try to get my slippers in there because it's just a comfort thing for me. But to each their own. I find it so interesting. Some people are like, just want to walk around barefoot. They love that. I'm like, okay, not my thing, but like more power to you. And so again, the issue here is no problem whatsoever with Meghan Markle being barefoot in her own home. 100% don't care about that. It's her personal preference, whatever. But it's the idea that by being barefoot, that she's somehow showing off a, let's say, relaxed hostess vibe is ridiculous. It's completely and utterly like detached from normal people. Because again, we all know that everybody has a different level of comfort in their own home. So it's like if you have that level of comfort, I don't think anybody cares that much except for if they have like a real issue with feet. And then the second idea is that somehow by being barefoot, Meghan thinks it demystifies her to people. And it's like, well, if you're only inviting your friends to your house, who do you need to demystify in the first place? And your shoes don't really tell people that, or your lack of shoes or your being barefoot, slippers, what have you. Whatever you put on your feet does not convey your character. It's just a personal preference. And for her to think that it has anything to do with that is just really bizarre to me. This shows again how disconnected she is from reality and normal people. This woman does not have a relationship with normal people because normal people would tell her. If I was Meghan Markle's friend, I would tell her, "That's dumb. Don't say that. That doesn't make any sense." And you can almost feel her friend there going, because she's like, "Ugh." It just doesn't make a ton of sense. But Meghan, again, she's trying so hard to be relatable. She's trying so hard to get people to connect with her. Then unfortunately, she pulls out these really random things that she thinks are helpful when they really just sound ridiculous. They sound absolutely ridiculous. And if I was going to a fancy dinner party, allegedly at a duchess's house, I would actually try to put on like a best look or something, try to be really presentable. And then if she comes out there trying to demystify herself in, being barefoot with the apron on, she's got stains all over the apron and stuff like that. I go, I thought we were supposed to have like a party. And then she goes, oh, here's a ladle. May pour your own cider. I'd be like, well, where's the hostess here? Meghan Markle, I just got to say, from what I've seen, is not the hostess, guys, with the mostest. She's the hostess with the leastest, if that is a thing. So I just had to start off with that story, guys. We do have a couple of super chats and stuff to catch up on, but I just had to say that, like, I just had to talk about that because I just found that to be so incredibly weird, guys. It's so weird. Like, you'll have to let me know in the comments, like, what are your preferences? And I will not judge your character at all based on how you decide to wander around your own home, because to say otherwise is just plainly bizarre. So we have Jill C, who gave a super chat here, and another one as well saying, I am a professional photographer. If you ever need one, LOL. And why, thank you. I may need that at some point. I need to get better with my big girl camera. I'm not always the bestest with it, but I do figure it out from time to time. We also have Diz Fan, who gave a part 3. Thank you again for the super chat. Says, especially when I barely know the fiance and both of them have been together 5 years, putting my Zara face on. All right, but hopefully it's not too bad. And we do have Alice O'Donnell, who's been a member for 26 months. Congrats on 200,000 subscribers, Brittany. It's amazing. It is. It's like it happened. And it's like, oh, okay. I was actually like in my car and I thought, oh, I'd have a little bit more time because I wasn't sure actually, guys, how the video I did saying it's happening, which unfortunately doesn't look like maybe it's happening as much as we were hoping it would. Although I think the cogs in the system aren't beginning to move. Like, I was like, "Oh, maybe that won't do as well or whatever." And then it started doing really well. And I'm like, I looked and I was like, I had 50 to go. And I looked again and I had hit the goal. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We do have Teresa as well, who sent a super chat. Hello, hope all you are all okay. Well, thank you. Yes, I am doing very well, and I hope you are too. And we do have Desert Mermaid who gave a super chat. Says, "Welcome, number 5 grandchild and my first great granddaughter 2 days ago." Well, congratulations! That is so exciting, Desert Mermaid. Wishing your family and your new addition all the best. So, guys, the awkwardness of Meghan Markle and this whole like weird bookstore incident, oh, it does not go away. So I was hoping, okay, there we go. So Meghan Markle, like this is supposedly her friend. But Meghan Markle obviously is not that close to this woman. I mean, obviously she didn't go to the wedding, so how close are they? And it's just the whole thing just came across as really, really weird. So we are going to watch Meghan Markle very like kind of controllingly, I would say, grab the mic and shove it in this woman's face because she didn't do it fast enough for her friend, her alleged friend, Meghan Markle. And she said she was nervous. I think in part because Meghan Markle is standing over her. Not really, but there and it's awkward. And Meghan's like moving towards this bun thing. It's not a flattering hairstyle on her. So I just don't know why she keeps doing it because it's just not flattering at all. Not flattering at all. So let's go ahead and take a watch.
It's really an honor to be here. Oh, sorry. This makes me nervous. It's really an honor to be here. Oh, sorry. This makes
So it kind of, for some reason here for the Daily Mail, like the video kind of double speaks. Maybe I can find them on X doing a bit better, but it's like it's this weird double speak thing, and it's like so the audio is playing over itself, but like you watch her, Meghan Markle's like awkwardly shoving this microphone in this woman's face, and so there is here another video. We'll move to this one instead. That way we can kind of get another angle, but it's just super duper awkward here. So let's go ahead and watch this.
I'm so glad you guys get to meet Courtney as well.
Yeah.
We've been friends since college, just so you know.
yeah.
The awkward silence is incredible, guys. It's oh, the awkward silence is hilarious.
It's really an honor to be here and to be chatting about our book. Oh, sorry. This makes me nervous.
So Meghan Markle like grabs the mic and shoves it in her face because she wasn't. Meghan Markle's like the stage mom. She would be very much like Lil But's not talking to the mic correctly and like shoving in her face, going, "Here, honey, here, honey." Remember the Michael Jackson funeral? If you remember that, you know what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and watch again.
I'm so glad you guys get to meet Courtney as well.
Yeah.
We've been friends since college, just so you know.
Yeah. It's really an honor to be here and to be chatting about our book. Oh, sorry. This makes me nervous. Oh, sorry. About our book. Oh, sorry. This makes me nervous.
I can hold it for you also.
Well, we know Meghan, guys, has an obsession with the microphone. So we know Meghan will happily hold the microphone to her friend and then pull it back so she can talk as well. But this just comes across, and again, this is an issue Meghan has overall, and it's just one that has not really gotten any better, is that she's kind of super awkward with other people. And this wasn't like a gentle, unfortunately, with like the screenshot somebody was taking at the time, that's why you got that weird kind of flash. But like the whole thing is just sort of definitely really, really bizarre. So Meghan sees that she doesn't have the microphone up. And instead of like, I feel like gently doing it, she like grabs her hand, her wrist basically, and like yanks the microphone up. It's just really, really awkward. And it's like, you just got to wonder too, how good of friends were these two? Which I think is like nil. I don't think these people were, either one of them were very good friends before. And so for like, this is probably super awkward for this friend because, yes, maybe let's say she reconnected with Megan and it's like, oh, yes, Megan can help me like support my book or whatever. But then it kind of becomes a little bit sort of controlling and Megan like yanking it up. Oh, and there's also a story because Megan has to make everything super dramatic. And I'd be curious if there's really any truth to this because it depends on um the system that it was under. Northwestern University or during university semester or quarter. So this could be true. So Northwestern University does use a quarter system, which usually means that the classes don't start in August like semester systems, because quarters is 3 systems or 3 times. So you have fall, spring, and no, fall, winter, and spring. So you kind of cycle through those kind of class type things. And so because she had to make this real dramatic thing is that apparently they were supposed to fly on 9/11 from California back to Chicago. And they couldn't do that because of 9/11. So they had to drive 30 hours, the humanity of Megan and her friend there. So I just like found it a little bit weird, but and it's like it feels like everything Megan does, she has to make it like super dramatic or what have you. But yeah, this felt a little bit odd. So like that she's grabbing the wrist, shoving it up. I don't know like a better way to do it, but the thing is, because I did see somebody going, "Oh, you're wrong. It's just fine, whatever." So here's the thing though. Megan sort of has this very controlling reputation. And we've seen this with Harry, like she directs him and everything. And so to avoid kind of the comparisons to that, it would be best for her to somewhat kind of like not do things that sort of reiterate this already negative narrative that exists. Because when you see that, it could have been a different way to do it, but instead she had to like personally grab somebody. Because the weird thing about Megan is that she constantly needs to touch people and like grab onto people and stuff. And so again, we're seeing this replay in this particular video for sure. And I think there are ways to do it that maybe is kind of less controlling in a way. So it's just one of those things. It just comes across, I feel like, again, as very strange, very awkward. And Megan going, "Oh, you'll love her. She was my friend from college." And people are like, okay. You just felt no reaction from the audience whatsoever. And I find that it's interesting because that should be a very positive, like reception for Megan there at the Godmother's bookstore. But I think what we're seeing actually more and more in audiences is that her attempts to engage just are falling flat because she thinks something's really interesting or she thinks, she's being self-deprecating or something like that. And she's just not. And so I think people are becoming more and more wise to this kind of behavior and it's not really playing very well for her. Again, totally understand that hey, her friend didn't have the mic up, but kind of grabbing it and shoving it in her friend's face. I don't know if that plays super duper well for her, but and just again reiterates this idea that Megan is controlling and, is obsessed with the microphone and stuff. Like it very much feels like when it comes to Megan, it really reminds me of the Michael Jackson funeral that little, oh gosh, what was her name? Can't remember his daughter's name. It's escaping me at the moment. Anyways, she's very pretty. And like she was, obviously a really young child. And so they grabbed the microphone and she's like talking, but I think it's too far away or something like that, and she wants to say something. And so all her aunts and uncles, who are all, obviously themselves obsessed with the microphone, Paris Jackson, they like shove it in her face. And so I'm like, okay. So I feel like very much Meghan gives me those like Jackson family vibes there. And that's not necessarily a good thing, because this poor woman is just trying to promote her book, The Family Home: Inspiring Ideas for a Family for a Home Filled with Joy. And Meghan is not the best person to promote something like that, because I don't think Meghan's house is very joyful in a lot of ways. And it sounds like this family had sort of maybe for a while a homestead type of lifestyle or something like that. So her name is Courtney Amo. And so they share how you can create a space that suits your pre-kids lifestyle, but also meets the needs of a growing family. So apparently, once you have kids, guys, you apparently don't know how to kind of, I guess, manage your home anymore or transition it between the family home and like your single days. I find that a little weird. I think people mostly just kind of adjust. So they show family homes of different sizes, from sprawling spaces in California and Byron Bay in the Australia to city London pads. Courtney and Michael share tips for how your home can inspire play, encourage kids to be independent, and be practical and yet beautiful that the whole family will enjoy being in. And again, I don't think Meghan Markle is the best person to put on your sort of like little as an option to promote your book, because we know that Meghan does not have this harmonious household, because we know that she has fallen out with her father. She has fallen out with her husband's entire family. And so this idea that she has this sort of, kind of balanced, joyful, loving relationship is just not really something that she has in her repertoire of reputation. She's kind of a divisive, toxic figure. So the idea that she's creating homes full of joy is kind of a little bit odd. And I guess somebody was sharing a quote, and so I don't have it, so you'll have to just kind of take my word for it. But there was a couple other interesting bits that she shared in there in this interview. Sort of one of the first is that she apparently talks to the kids, and they're looking at like a mess of some type or something. But they didn't make the mess. The kids didn't make the mess. And she makes them clean up the mess, I guess. And they go, "Well, I didn't make the mess." And she's like, "Well, don't you want to clean home?" I feel like that's a little weird. So it depends on, I guess, who made the mess. But I find it really bizarre if you kind of make your kids clean up a mess that they didn't make. I don't feel like that's really all that conducive or positive. I find that to be really, really weird. And like, cause I would, we're obviously required in like growing up to clean up messes, but I just feel like it's really weird that that's what she makes her kids do. And then she also had this anecdote. Well, who's surprised? Meghan really, really loves candles, guys. So she needs to take a candle with her when she travels. I will honestly say that's probably not the best idea in the world. And I can't remember exactly how this happened. So you'll have to forgive me. But this is a 100% true story from a company I used to work at. And they had a woman on their team, and she liked to pray, and she liked to use a candle as she prayed or something to that effect. And somehow, when she left the room, the candle did not entirely go out, and somehow she wrecked the entire hotel room. Like, I'm not sure if it caught on fire or something, but something really weird happened. And she wrecked, I kid you not, guys, wrecked the entire hotel room. Wrecked it. And so they're on the hook for like, I want to say $10,000 to $30,000 from her needing to travel around with her candles. So Meghan Markle is saying, "I travel around with my candle. That's a terrible idea. Don't tell people to do that." Like, I cannot remember exactly the story. Like, I want to say like something melted or something. I don't know. But anyways, the candle restarted up after she left the room and destroyed the room. So number one, guys, don't take advice from Meghan Markle traveling around with a candle, lighting a candle, unless you can have like a little electric one or something. Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad idea. Don't do it. Because I have a story that I heard a couple of times at one of my old businesses where that was 150% a horrible, terrible, no good, very, very bad idea. So don't do it. Don't do it. Like horrible. And so we have some other things. So we have some more video from the Daily Mail, and there's some sort of rose and thorn technique or something that Meghan kind of uses with her kids. And so I'm a little confused by it. So let's listen to what this says.
On the dinner table.
Yeah,
It's so.
talk about that. I didn't know what it was at first, the rose and thorn. I love that.
Do you guys know what it is? Your rose and your thorn.
Okay.
You're good and you're bad. Like that's what it is. Oh my gosh, it's so weird.
And so, well, for those who don't, it's essentially at the end of the day where you can say, here's my rose, here's the best part of my day, and here's my thorn, because every day is not going to be perfect.
So, number one, I think this works better with girls. A boy doesn't want to talk about a rose and a thorn, guys. So again, we have 100% of reality where Meghan thinks constantly about her daughter, but not about her husband and her son. It's so easy to say what were the good parts of your day, what are the bad parts of your day, or what was your favorite part of the day? Like, how do you make this type of conversation gender neutral? Because what she's doing by saying rose and thorn is automatically saying girl, not like the family together. Well, honey, hubby, you just got back in from tuning your car up. What was your rose of the day? I can guarantee you most men would they'd want to do anything else on the entire planet except for answer that question, just based on how the question is asked. You can 150% ask the same question, but in a way that does not make it so gender specific. Because again, what it does is automatically show, again, where Meghan Markle's loyalties lie and where her favoritism is, which is her daughter, and how the home is ruled by Meghan, and how Meghan makes all the decisions. It's all Meghan, 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 Meghan. And that's just not a good thing. Yeah, and it's like Lizzie B asked, why is she so against doing boy things? Exactly. I don't understand. It very much reminds me of what I feel like we see so much of in especially some areas of psychology. And I think the world Meghan very much lives in, which we've seen kind of Harry reflect, and I've been critical of. Harry was on this panel of men, and they're basically psychobabbling about the importance of men psychobabbling to each other. And it's like, men don't really connect in that way, though. They connect in different ways. And it's very much, Carol's right here. It is toxic feminism. It is. It's very much toxic feminism, I think, because it's like, you're not trying to find the middle ground here. You're very much doing like this would be something where if you're having a girls' night with your daughter, 100%, you can phrase it this way. But if this is something at the dinner table, which I believe Meghan said it was at the dinner table, what's your rose and what's your thorn? It should be, well, what was your hero moment of the day? They've mentioned that too, hero moments. I think heroes can work for boys and girls, but that's a way to kind of more, I think, move it in that direction. But I just don't think going to Archie and going, what is your rose, honey? Like, he might like the garden, but it also feels very much like you're not sort of identifying with his masculinity at all. You're trying to make him feminine. You're trying to feminize him. And that's just my personal opinion. You can disagree if you want to. But I feel like 150% there are ways to ask that exact same question, but that recognizes that both Archie and Lily are a boy and a girl, and that is perfectly fine. But I just, absolutely that just kind of skews me out and just makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
No day is, but what are the things that are your highlights and also the things that maybe didn't feel so good? They hurt a little bit. And especially with young children, it's a great opener for, when you get to that stage where your kids just give you a yes or no answer.
Well, the audience reacted there, but I imagine most of the time, or at least sometimes, the kids just want to give you a yes or no answer so you go away. But yeah, there are ways to get kids talking, but it's not always like once your kids get older and they're like 13, going, honey, what's your rose moment? I don't honestly don't think even calling it a rose and a thorn moment really would be all that helpful to anyone, like at any age. I would imagine if my mom asked me that at 13, I'd go, oh, mom, please, that's so dumb. Because I feel like it's dumb now. I don't quite understand where she thinks she's going with it, but I just don't like it at all. It's just really turns me off.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, what's your rose and thorn? And you really can start to peel back the layers and find ways to connect.
I doubt she's connecting all that much with Archie when she's phrasing it that way.
I was joking, our daughter, she's 4 and she's
Why does Meghan always have to say like how old her kids are and everything? It's very, very weird.
a very strong personality and she's incredible.
Probably because Meghan, again, strong personality could be code word for brat and entitled brat. And so just saying that could be something there. But Meghan, of course, it's an anecdote about her daughter, not her son.
And now she's in this moment of, I say, okay, Lily, it's your turn. What's your rose and your thorn? She goes, my day was just a blast.
So like Lily's not even answering really her mom's question. She's just saying, yeah, my day was great, Ma. That's literally what she's saying. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, have we ever heard Courtney speak? I'll have to maybe guys try to get the full thing. I just don't want to pay godmothers unless I am assured that I'm getting this full thing, and I'm not sure that's going to be exactly it. The kids also have a healing blanket that they use. So again, more kind of psychobabble talk. And then they start each day with Meghan Markle's abysmal taste in music. Because I don't know if Meghan Markle is like trying to be 80 with her musical taste or thinks somehow she's refined with her musical taste. Because she'll play music in the background. It'll be like this 1940s vibe. And like, not that that's necessarily bad, but I always wonder, is that really the music you want to listen to? Or you just think you're fulfilling like some sort of like image or something? I just don't quite get it. I just don't get it. But there's so much of Meghan Markle I just don't get because she's just kind of weird. And again, I feel like some of this disconnect just comes from Meghan trying so incredibly badly to try to find ways to connect with people because she struggles to normally connect with people, that she just comes out with this most bizarre stuff to try to connect with people. And it's just really, really weird. It's just really, really bizarre. And it's just doesn't come across, I feel like, super, super well. And her attempts to be her attempts to like sympathize with people, I feel like she comes across even more disconnected from the rest of the world. And so it's like none of this is working. But should we be surprised that this is what's happening? Because Meghan Markle, ladies and gentlemen, has lost her 10th public relations person in 5 years, is I think how somebody put it. Yeah, Duchess of Sussex loses 10th publicist. So this is in the Telegraph. And this again is a huge, huge, massive, massive part of Meghan Markle's, again, problem is that she hires competent people, very competent people. She doesn't listen to them and they just turn into yes people. And then she gets mad when things go sideways. And so they quit. They quit. We have seen this play out an endless amount of times now to determine and to say for sure that this is not a publicist problem. This is a Meghan Markle problem. This is a Meghan Markle problem. This is a Meghan Markle issue. And she just can't seem to adjust. And what we've seen, especially these last couple of weeks, and there was an interesting article Dan Wooten pulled up for me when we were doing his podcast earlier this week. So I won't go through it, but I remember bits and pieces. So we'll kind of weave it in here, which is that Meghan has literally zero strategy at this point. She is just randomly jumping from thing to thing, hoping something sticks. And she's trying to please everyone in a way, That's what she's attempting to do, is trying to grow an audience and trying to please anyone any way she can. But as always, she ends up pleasing no one. When you don't have a definitive vision of yourself, you are unable to really kind of promote, I think, a vision of yourself to the world, because you're constantly ping-ponging between different ideas. And you have to have, and I actually will pull up, hopefully if I remember, a video from Becca Bloom, who is on Instagram, and she had actually really, really good thoughts about this. And she wasn't particularly talking about Meghan, but she's talking about the difference between being basically sort of a somebody who scrounges and then somebody who's like a leader entrepreneurial type. And Meghan Markle is not a leader. She's not an entrepreneur. No matter what she says, those are not her things. We have seen, again, this all endlessly play out, that she does not have anything. And this is why she's failing. You need to have, again, a really strong vision for yourself to really, oh, let me turn my light on real quick. It felt so dark in the background. I'm like, what can I do? What can I do? I can turn on my other light up above. So, anyways, she has no definitive vision of herself, and she just wants to make money. And as we've seen, and very much the folly with Andrew and Sarah is that they'll basically do anything for money. Meghan will try on any persona to try to make money. And the thing is, none of them are working. And it's all becoming very much a mess. I love this from Melissa. She throws flower sprinkles at the wall. That's why nothing sticks. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Bravo for sure there, Melissa. Great, great comment there. And it's true. Meghan is constantly throwing things around and nothing at all sticks whatsoever. And so the person who left is Emily Robinson. So this is not Meredith Maines. And so she previously worked on The Crown for Netflix and left her post after just 4 months. Again, we're seeing a faster, I feel like even quicker turnover of staff, because we had that guy last year who only lasted 3 months with Prince Harry as well. So there is no Venn diagram. We're losing really competent people this quickly shows a strong strategy behind the scenes. It just doesn't. This to me, again, reflects something that is flailing and failing, because you don't get rid of people, or people don't leave when things are going well and that they're like, oh, this is great. We've had really competent people leave Harry and Meghan after just a couple months, and that's because things are so incredibly bad. The toxicity, I'm sure, behind the scenes is so incredibly bad. Harry and Meghan are so terrible to work for that it's not even worth putting in more than 90 days effort to try to make things kind of happen. After a little bit, they're just like, oh my gosh, this thing is so incredibly bad. So run so incredibly poorly. There's literally nothing I can do to fix the problem. That's what I think we're seeing with people. It's something that is so bad, nobody can fix it. And when they suggest ways to fix it, they're hit with such roadblocks that they're like, this is impossible. There's no way for me to actually have a real impact. So they're like, they're just cutting their losses and running. That's what's happening here. Because if you, like, for me, if like I was working for Harry and Meghan, I think I'd have to like, and I've tried to, I had a job once where I was supposed to work with somebody. It was going to be sort of an interesting thing. And then they really didn't want to do it after I got there. And so the whole thing fell apart really quickly. And that's just what happens when you have a principal like this who really doesn't give you good direction and doesn't follow the good direction that you give. And so let's look at what the article says here. So it says she's gone through her 10th publicist in just 5 years. Who is surprised? Absolutely nobody. Emily Robinson had been appointed as director of communications, which is part of the problem. These two nincompoops do not need a director of communications. The publicist who worked for The Crown for Netflix has now left her post after just 4 months, the Daily Mail reported. She is at least the 10th publicist to have stopped working for the Sussexes since they left Britain for California 5 years ago. Again, demonstrating the fact, because Harry and Meghan had people depart their operation in the UK too, that they have a long-standing history at this point of staff turnover. While Ms. Robinson initially began as the couple's communications director, she later transitioned into their behind-the-scenes Netflix person. Elsewhere, former publicists James Holt and Miranda Barbot have been promoted to non-PR roles. So you got to wonder, I don't know why, like James Holt has been around for a long time. I don't know why he, I guess, enjoys the challenge of working with them. I don't quite get it. But they've moved into different roles and apparently they are happier there. Nobody's ever happy being Meghan Markle's PR person. Probably because she can never be happy because her PR is never going to go the way she wants to, in part because she doesn't listen to it. And in part because she has such a bad reputation that she really, really needs a disciplined approach to fix it. And she just can't do it because she always wants to say dumb things like, oh my gosh, if you're walking around your house in your bare feet, that makes you kind of approachable to your guests. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. So that has left their team made up of Liam Maguire, sorry, directors of communications in Europe, and Meredith Maines, their chief communications officer. Again, I don't know why they need people with these sorts of roles. Like, seriously? You guys like work out of your house in Montecito and don't really do anything. So I don't understand. The pair are believed to have met Tobin Andre, the King's press secretary. This was in July. And so of her departure, a friend told the Mail it was her decision. So probably most likely this Ms. Robinson let it be known to the Daily Mail, probably through a friend. Like, she wanted this to be known that she left. It was her decision. She left a few weeks ago. She's not a quitter. So things must have been pretty horrible for her to go. And again, it must have been pretty horrible. And so the Sussexes have been hit with negative accusations in the workplace. So I would say toxic. So we have Vanity Fair. And then we have, of course, as well, which I think it doesn't mention here, but the Hollywood Reporter called her a dictator in heels. And so maybe I thought when I saw the dictator in heels and Meghan Markle's proclaiming, oh, I like to walk around barefoot. I was like, oh, are you trying to kind of like dissuade people against the dictator in high heels aspect? And so according to the Sussexes, they told the Telegraph, Ms. Robinson oversaw project-based work for a very successful season of With Love, Meghan. Additional support for the production company. She did an excellent job and completed these projects with great success. Okie dokie. Very successful? No, it wasn't. Like, With Love, Meghan was not a success, especially season 2. Again, season 1 had this sort of kind of car crush mentality thing where people wanted to watch her kind of lose her mind over Mindy Kaling calling her Meghan Markle. That's why people watched. And then like the second season cratered completely. Even people who had a marginal interest in season 1 had no interest in season 2. Like if they watched it, they would be like, oh, like it kind of came off like a little bit or what have you. So yeah. Oh, so Diana said, Brittany, your background sound is too high. We can hear private sounds like swallowing. Please adjust your mic. It's not really, you can't really avoid those, to be quite honest. That's kind of just reality of the situation. So anyways, Meghan Markle did like, this is just a reflection of a continued failing behind the scenes. Like there's no other way to look at this other than it's like a failure. It's a failure. So it's a kind of challenge for any comms person to work with Harry and Meghan. And the reason it's a challenge for them is that it's sort of impossible to manage everything going on there. They make it impossible to. Harry and Meghan make a lot of really, really stupid decisions. Harry runs his mouth. They all run their mouths. They don't know when to quit. And like as a communications person, like part of your job is to train your principals on how to answer questions. But if they don't take the advice, if they don't learn anything, they're going to say stupid things. And then you're like, you're the one dealing with the backlash of the stupid things they've said. They're blaming you for the stupid things they said, and you can't adjust. And this again is a symptom of a really big problem for Harry and Meghan, which is their cratering PR, which I think both Harry and Meghan are very, very frustrated by, but it's not going to get any better for them. And the reason it's not going to get any better for them is that they can't adjust themselves. Sometimes that you like to actually quote unquote fix things that you have to be able to kind of adjust. And Harry and Meghan are not adjusting. Harry and Meghan do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again and expect different results. Part of the problem for Meghan Markle with her show is that she didn't even do any promotion for it. Her brand as well. She doesn't do any promotion for it. And you cannot blame somebody else for the failure of your brand when you refuse to promote it and promote it like well. Because if you're not promoting something, like how in the world are you going to get somebody else to basically buy into it? So, a great example, real quick here, is obviously over here on Instagram for the As Ever Instagram. So it says here, crepe inspo with a savory twist. As Ever crepe mix, a fried egg, plus any veggies in your fridge equals fun and elated take on your favorite breakfast sandwich. Now, if we go to asever.com, guys, where there will be a new drop at some point on Tuesday or whatever, the crepe mix, I want to say, has been sold out the last couple weeks. So why are you telling people, oh, here's some crepe inspiration, but they can't actually go out and buy your product? That's just dumb. That's just dumb. Why are you promoting a product you can't sell right now? Like that's just idiotic. From just a general business perspective, it's like, maybe save that picture for next week, but you're not even telling anybody what you're really making. You're maybe showing your wine, but it looks more like there's bubbles in there. So maybe that's like champagne in the morning or something. You can't even really see the crepes, guys, because the basically the in focus thing is basically right here. That's what's in focus. And so this is all out of focus. If you're supposed to be promoting the crepes, more than half of it is out of focus. You can't really see it. And so maybe that looks somewhat tasty, but you honestly can't really tell. Like this, from just even a purely business perspective, is bad. It's just unbelievably bad. And if that's just where you're going to go with things. So if you guys can't see, so look, all of this is out of focus. All this. This is somewhat in focus. Like the line is literally about right there. If people can't see your products, if people can't see them making your products, why would you buy them? Somebody said, oh, they still haven't fixed it. They spelled sandwich wrong. Oh my gosh, Carol pointed that out. Thank you. Oh, holy crud, guys. Sandwich. You don't have this H you're supposed to take out. They still haven't fixed it. Oh my gosh. Man. I just can't. She has all the resources, guys, in the world. She had a woman who worked with the Crown on Netflix, and she can't even spell sandwich right. She's promoting a product she's not selling, that she doesn't have in stock to sell. And yeah, Carol's right as well. Where's the recipe? Where's the recipe? Like, none of it makes any sense. And this is why, again, that everything's failing. And all the failures kind of culminate together really in one way, which reflects a woman who just doesn't believe in her own premise. She's not interested in any of this stuff, really. And we see it. It's unavoidable, it's unmistakable. And she needs to actually either like change things up, or she needs to just drop this entirely, because I just don't think this is going to go anywhere. Of course, this leads into the makeup, but first let's read off some super chats here real quick. We do have Carol who said, what are your thoughts on the rumors taking the tiles away from all non-working royals, including Beatrice and Eugenie? So that's a good question. So kind of the update on the case regarding Andrew is that there is no desire by the royal family at this point to have sort of an inquest into Andrew. And I think it's more because they're worried about what else will come up regarding royal finances, because the Houses of Parliament wanted to debate a bill so that it would ease the king's ability to strip royals of their titles. And the government's like, no, we're not doing this, which I can only think was a request from King Charles. The problem for King Charles at this point is that I think in order to, I don't know if fix things is the right term, but what happened with Andrew, and I feel like an extension of what has happened with Harry and Meghan, and can only get worse over the time, is that trust has been broken. The monarchy and the people's ability to trust that it has its best inclinations in mind, that it is holding its members to account. I think actually the bigger thing is accountability for its own members. The royal family has failed at that, and I think has broken the trust of the British people in that effort. To reestablish trust, I think Charles is going to have to make the hard decisions he really doesn't want to make. And the big decision here, and I'll have a whole video about it. So that'll be probably tomorrow, I think, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe tonight. We'll see. Anyways, so Charles is really his problem here is that I think I sort of agree. I don't think we need a witch hunt against Andrew. And the reason is I don't like where it's coming from because people are like, oh, he's done all these terrible things, but he's not being prosecuted. So we've got to, through the court, basically a public opinion. I sort of hate that mentality because I feel like that can be really easily abused. So my perception or my thought is that Charles needs to come up with a written statement of what the royal family basically promises the British people it will do. And for those who violate that, there will be severe consequences for that. And so I think that should be retroactive. I think it should impact Harry and Meghan and Andrew and Sarah. That should be sort of almost what it's catered to, but not quite. And the reason is it's not to punish Andrew for his alleged sins with, Jeffrey Epstein and Virginia Giuffre, and it's not to punish Harry and Meghan for Oprah Winfrey, but it's an acknowledgement of the fact that these people, through their actions, have damaged this institution overall. And in order to mitigate further damage, we have to really excise them entirely from it. That's the only way to fix it. And I think that is a route the British should take. I think Charles has been sort of weak on here. But when it comes to Beatrice and Eugenie, I'm not really a fan of taking their titles away. I don't think they've done anything at this point to deserve it. Obviously, if there are lapses in judgment in the future, again, this is why a code of conduct that everybody signs on to keep their titles and everything would be a smart thing to do. That way it keeps sort of everybody in line. But I don't have an issue with them keeping their title. And so that's where I sit on that. Teresa says, I'm the youngest of 8 children, and my 7 siblings wouldn't grab me like that or talk to me either. It's bad manners, in my opinion. Yeah, it's sort of bad manners. I found it to be with Meghan and the mic, it just felt a little controlling. It just did. So that may have not been Meghan's intention, but it definitely was sort of the cause and effect here. So Teresa, thank you so much for your super chat. Peggy said, as a Gen Xer and retired elementary school teacher, why does everything have to be so complicated? It's simple. How was your day? Why is that so complicated? I don't know. Sometimes, yeah, I feel like people overcomplicate things. And if your kids are not giving you an answer, saying, how was your day? And they go, good. If you want to get more, then you as a parent need to get creative. I don't think introducing Rose and Thorn is probably going to help that situation much, to be quite honest. Again, it sounds very much like a women's retreat thing, not a child to adult or adult to child thing. I think it's incredibly dumb. Sorry to anybody who likes this system. It just sounds incredibly dumb to me. Teresa, thank you so much for the super chat again. Said, I don't think she connects with herself. No, she doesn't. Meghan has no clue who Meghan is. Meghan just wants money. Or I think the other kind of reality is she's terrified of her real self and people hating that. So that's my other thought. Carol said, does Meghan have anything in between her ears? No, she does. She definitely does. But at the same time, yeah, it's not always kind of like moving super well. Like I almost feel sorry for her in some ways because she honestly thinks probably that her being barefoot somehow conveys a sense of like ease. And I'm like, it really doesn't. I'm like, oh, okay. That's what you like to wear around the house. I just more of like clock it of like, oh, that's your comfort level. I like slippers, guys. I have slippers. I'm so in love with my slippers. I have bought my family slippers from UGG. My slipper preference is UGG. Again, we kind of elevate the need for boots when it's super duper duper cold. but we have, levels. I do have the furry Birkenstocks for when I'm cold around the house or like inside for summer because I just don't want to be, I don't like my feet being cold. That's the other thing. I hate it when my feet are cold. I know. I'm weird. Sam R says, gifted One World News Network membership. Why, thank you so much. Sam, that is so kind of you. And we have Christina, who has been a member for 1 month. Congratulations, Christina. Or Christine, my apologies. Peggy said, congrats, Brittany, on 200,000. Why, thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate that. And yeah, thank you. It's again, really shocking and surprising in so many ways. And yet I also feel so incredibly blessed. We also have RN Explorer 253 says, sorry, off topic, but when are you going to do another Trover trip? Well, thank you so much for the question. So I do have one tentatively set up for, it'll actually be in Slovenia in October. So that will be coming. I will kind of let people know who's been on the trips before kind of first, and then a bit more details, and then we'll move on. I'm hoping to do something earlier in the year. So most likely that'll be Italy. So, because it's been many a year since I've been to Italy. So I'm looking forward to going back. Christine sent a super chat as well saying, congratulations, Brittany, on 200K. Yay. Yes. Thank you. It's really bizarre to reach that. I mean, that's a huge milestone, guys. So I feel, again, incredibly blessed. And you also gifted One Royal News Network membership, Christine. Thank you so much for that. That is so incredibly kind of you for sure. Okay, so what was the other thing I was going to talk about? Oh, latest as ever drop, guys. Because we have, again, Megan's kind of weird old timey music that she likes. And we do have, let's say, the latest drop here. And so what's kind of funny about this is we're going back to the original American Riviera Orchard kind of look. And again, it shows kind of a lack of consistency between the brands because this, again, very much feels like the original American Riviera Orchard promo that she had that came out in March of 2023 or 2024. Yeah. So we're sort of back to that. And she is not actually barefoot this time. She's walking around some sort of orchard and stroking a leaf and then leaving. And then we're like in greasy hair, kind of don't care, kind of like being casual, like chic or something. I don't know. But save the date in her terrible cursive. And yeah, it just feels very much like that. I don't know what she like, some sort of basket she's carrying, I guess. But save the date, October 28th. So I mean, this is just cursive with a little bit of flourish. Like, let's be honest. It's just cursive with a bit of flourish, guys. Anyways, so it'll be interesting to see what this latest quote unquote launch is because we have, again, a really, I feel like, confusing brand strategy so far. And we'll get to obviously Meghan Markle potentially doing makeup as well. But like we have this collection here. We have orange marmalade, flower sprinkles, herbal lemon tea, hibiscus. And I did decide last night, guys, to like retry the hibiscus tea. It was not as good the second time around. I did not like it. And it's one of those things where like I was like, oh, okay, it's not that great. Peppermint tea, horrible. Ugh. And so she did sell out of the apricot spread, and she has been out of the crepe and shortbread cookie mix, I want to say, for several weeks now. So we're still going with the scarcity tactic. So we still have no idea what will be really truly permanently part of the collection and what will be seasonally. I mean, we can guess that it's the teas, it's the flower sprinkles, and it's the mixes, and she's changing out the jam for whatever reason. But we don't really have an actual consistency and actual directive from Meghan about what this thing is supposed to look like. And that really is on Meghan. And so it's important to point that out because to me, like, I criticize Meghan a lot, guys, but it's because in part, this could be so much better. This could be so much clearer. This could be potentially, I don't really think she's got the products for it yet, but this could be potentially a blockbuster brand. And it's just sort of going from failure to failure to failure. And I think part of the reason is lack of communication. Meghan Markle is not communicating what her brand is. Her walking around aimlessly in an orchard is not a brand. That's just like and like old-timey music. Like nothing goes together. It's just like the name doesn't make sense. The kind of branding style doesn't make sense. Like it all looks so haphazard and so clearly not thought out. And this is so important for success in brands and anything is that you really have to have a strongly thought out strategy and you have to know like when to hold them and when to fold them. So I did promise this guys and I just kind of forgot that I promised this to you guys earlier, but I did think this was actually quite good. And this is a woman who probably actually will blow Meghan Markle out of the water at some point when it comes to her follower account. I think in part because she actually has 2.7 million followers, and I'm sure she probably pays for some of this because she has a crap ton of money to pay for this stuff. But this was actually really good, and I think really sound business advice, which again is why I think, and look, I mean, look at that like count, guys. That's insane. And so I think that Meghan is going to fail in part because she doesn't recognize this critical kind of average business thing that Becca Bloom is mentioning here. So let's listen. And so Becca Bloom, if you don't know, she's the daughter of billionaires. And so she has a heck of a lot of money. And so she kind of flaunts her really ritzy lifestyle, but at the same time, she works in finance. And so she'll give you some advice. And I actually think her stuff is pretty good. So let's listen.
Lessons that my parents taught me is that there's two ways people tend to find success. One by creating it, or two by orbiting around it.
So you either get successful by creating it or orbiting around it. Meghan Markle is trying to do both at the same time, and that's part of the reason why it's not working. She wants to create her own thing when really she should orbit around it, and in part as well, she kind of is, but she's also really not at the same time. So I think that's something really kind of critical to pick up on. And so I thought this was again pretty good.
Nature, there's this fish called the remora, and it lives by attaching itself onto a shark's belly. It doesn't have to hunt or fight or take any real risk. It has a steady supply of leftovers from every meal that the shark eats. It's a very comfortable way to live. But
so that's what Meghan wants at the end of the day. Meghan wants very much comfort to live, but she is definitely Meghan in this instance wanting to try to, I think, reach beyond what has always been her level, you could say. She's always trying to reach beyond that, and that's I think part of the reason why she's failing is that she really should have done sort of the remora strategy and attached herself to more successful people because Meghan Markle doesn't want to work to create her success. And instead, she's gone sort of trying to do her own thing, and it's just not working at all because she didn't really ever have the capacity to do her own thing.
it's also dependent. The remora doesn't get to decide where to swim, what to eat, and when to move. Its entire survival depends on the shark's direction. And you see this everywhere, like
Yeah. So Meghan could have kind of worked and followed the direction of somebody else. But again, she wants to try to do it herself, and it's just never, ever working well.
startups that exist entirely inside of Apple's App Store ecosystem, micro creators who grow through reaction videos instead of original content, brands that chase a trend instead of creating a new one.
Those are all Meghan. So Meghan only sort of wants to live in like one ecosystem, which is Netflix, which, yeah, gave her some money, but maybe she really should have, instead of like sticking within that Netflix ecosystem, she should have really thought and then branched out in different ways. And then we also have that she's following trends. She's not setting trends, she's following them. And unfortunately for her, this is kind of this area has been done a gajillion times in a gajillion different ways. And so she's not adding anything new or interesting to it. She's basically following what people have already done and adding sort of inane spins on things that, yes, some of the people that she, let's say, is trying to attract in terms of an audience, maybe they like, but she's probably not going to get much more than that.
It works for a while, but proximity isn't the same as merit. My point here isn't that one is better than the other. The key is knowing when to be a shark and when to be a remora. There are times where being a remora is smart, when you're learning, absorbing, or borrowing, but in areas where you're actually gifted or have a vision, you need to be a shark.
So I love that thing. Where you have vision, that's when you need to be a shark. Meghan Markle, I mean, she even describes herself, guys, as a dolphin investor. Meghan Markle, again, her level has always been more of a remora. She's not a shark. And so because of that, because she's trying to be a shark, I think that's part of the reason why she's failing. She doesn't know and she could not, let's say, learn things. Because I think for Megan to be truly successful in her business, she did actually have to learn things. But Megan is just starting out basically throwing everything out at once rather than taking sort of the slow and steady approach and learning and growing. Because what I have said, and I said this a lot when we didn't know that As Ever would become American Riviera or sorry, American Riviera Orchard would become As Ever. One thing I said was that while Meghan is trying to figure out the back end of things, what Meghan Markle should have been doing the entire time when she had probably a crap ton of emails she could have sent an email to is creating a relationship with the people within her email. So sending them newsletters, letting them know the progress, letting them know what inspired her that week, what her favorite products were, these sorts of things. Because in that process, she would become closer to her audience, they would become closer to her, and she could actually gauge through their reactions what they think about various things. But Meghan always wants all pieces of information to go out from her and to the audience, and she doesn't really want any feedback back. And that's what we see in the problem within this whole system. Now, when it comes to the makeup rumor, number one, I imagine it's true. And the reason I imagine it's true is because last time too, we heard from the Daily Mail that one of Meghan Markle's first products would be rosé wine. Now, it wasn't her first product, but was it one of her first? Yes. So do I believe that she's probably working on a makeup line right now? Probably. Is that a bad move? Yes. And the reason is that she hasn't even tried to figure out and work within her first business. It's barely off the ground. If she's working on makeup right now, that's a totally different business. And it's stupid to jump from one ship to the other while the ship is still sort of sinking and meandering throughout the sea, jumping to another ship that's also rudderless and trying to do the same thing again. Won't work. It'll just be more of an epic disaster. And so to jump to makeup, again, a totally different industry. Meghan needs to have, I think, not only a strong interest in makeup, which I don't think she has, but has a reputation, let's say, for really good makeup application, great skincare or something. I actually would posit that Meghan Markle would actually be best served by doing skincare because skincare is a little bit, I feel like, a lower bar because although there are people within that space in celebrity, when it comes to makeup, though, you have Ariana Grande with REM, which I have some of their stuff because they gifted me things like the cherry cola lip balm thing, which is awesome. Then we have Fenty by Rihanna, which sort of they became famous for adding multitude of shades when it came to their foundation. So they didn't stick to, let's say, the lighter foundation shades. They would go all the way into the very, very dark ones. So if you've never met somebody or seen somebody from South Sudan, there's a couple of models who are from South Sudan. They are so black. They almost have a purple sheen to their skin. Very, very difficult to find, let's say, especially in the West, makeup that, especially for foundation, matches their skin tone. And so Fenty kind of came on the scene and had this huge range. Instead of the usual 20, they had like 40 shades. And that was a huge game changer in the industry. Then we also have Rare Beauty from Selena Gomez. Now, I think I have one or two rare things. I think I got them for free at an event, but it has been very, very successful. And it's made her a billionaire. We have Rhode from Hillary. No, hold on. Haley Baldwin, who became Haley Bieber. Sorry, I just had to think of through my names there for a second. So she has Rhode Beauty, which she sold for like $1 billion. Now, does she get all that money? No, but they have been very successful. So I can imagine Meghan Markle looking at that going, they've been so successful. I could do the same thing. No. Number one, you're walking into a heavily saturated market, you need to have a niche strategy, or sorry, a niche product. Meghan Markle, even with her initial brand, has no hero product. So Meghan thinks her jam is it. Her jam is not it. Her jam is not a hero product. I don't care what she said, or spread, technically. It's technically a spread. There are no, absolutely zero chances that Meghan Markle's sort of like lack of a hero category in as ever is ever going to translate into makeup. I don't think she's there. And number 2 is, well, Meghan Markle, I'm sure, likes makeup. I do too. I wear makeup. I share with you guys what I'm wearing sometimes. And people really like it, or they say, "Oh, your eyes really pop on the screen," or something like that. And it's so interesting to hear, because it's like I do my makeup myself and I'm just looking and going, "Does this work? Does this look good?" And like I get such positive feedback and I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome." And so because of that, it's like it's helpful for me. But like I thought of, when I was thinking of, I kind of wanted to do YouTube, try it out or whatever, I sort of thought of a makeup channel. But the reason I didn't do makeup is that I'm not super duper creative or into it in terms of like I'm doing crazy eye looks or anything like that. Like I have the palette and it has 4 shades and I use those 4 shades and I do all over, and then I do kind of on the lid, in the crease, eyeliner, and I'm done, guys. That's my level. And there's some people who are insanely good with it. And I could just never ever compare to something like that. And I'm not interested enough to really learn those complicated techniques. And honestly, as well, my eyes are sort of smaller, a little bit hooded, and it's sort of hard for me to like do something really creative anyway. So it's just not me. And Meghan Markle, I'm sorry, like sometimes her makeup looks like she looked kind of dead in Paris. Her look was like her no makeup look is like so bland. It's like your no makeup look should really make you shine and sparkle. Whereas Megan, I feel like she just looks like herself, and I'm like, "Okay, so why did you put makeup on at all?" Like, her wedding makeup I thought was terrible, and I didn't like Catherine's either. I've been like clear on that before. I don't like Catherine's either. And there's been plenty that have as well failed. And so not only do you have the celebrities dipping their toes into the market, and you will have their celebrities um stands who get into it, but depends on who she's trying to reach. Because Meghan Markle feels like I think she's thinking that there's 15-year-old girls who are interested in her. No. Most of her audience are older women. Kind of like my audience are mostly older women, which is totally fine. And so when it comes to like who she's trying to connect to, a lot of those brands are catering to younger women. Their audiences are younger women. I just don't think Meghan Markle has that audience. And so I just don't imagine her really kind of converting in that way. And so I feel like at least for some of the, and then some people are mentioning some of the celebrities that have skincare lines, skincare might be a little bit better. And it's something though that maybe she might have a little bit of a better chance in. But makeup is ruthless. And another, and I've seen a couple of you mention it, like when it comes to makeup, one of my favorites is Lisa Eldridge, and I have her lipstick here. It's not one of her first, but one of her early first. And here's an example of somebody who's done a brand really well. And she's a makeup artist. So she's actually a professional makeup artist who does people like Kate Winslet, Keira Knightley. She's had Victoria Beckham, I think, on her, like she has a YouTube channel and stuff. And so she is very well connected, very knows what she's doing. And so Lisa, even though she's a professional makeup artist, she started off with lipsticks. And I want to say there were like 6 or 8 initial lipsticks. And so I think they had probably the velvet and the regular, whatever this is, which I can't remember. But this is Kitten Mischief, which I use pretty much in every video, or like even when I go out, because it's like my favorite color. I love it. So it gives me a little color, but it's not too much. So she started off with an initial line like this, and and it kind of cool, like it's kind of a magnet thing. I don't know. So it kind of magnetizes in. I don't know if you can tell. Anyways, now there it goes. Finally. And yeah. So anyways, it's cool. So she started this line with lipsticks and then branched out into foundation and brushes and eyeshadows and like liquid eyeshadows and these sorts of things. And so it was a very slow growth, and it was a way for her to really kind of get her feet wet in the industry on that side of it, because sure, she had a massive makeup kit with like everything. She used to actually do videos for Chanel makeup. That's how I initially came to recognize her, is that she used to do the videos for Chanel. And she's like, so cute and British. And she's like, you're covering up your spots. And so, so she kind of got her start there. And so she grew organically though. And she didn't over expand by coming out with a massive range of makeup initially. She did sort of a slow and steady build. And I think that's how she's gotten really, really successful. And even when it comes to like, there was one thing that I never got, which she never restocked on, because I think there was some sort of manufacturing issue or something like that. And she had these liquid blushes, which seemed super duper cool. And so it will eventually, like, so what happened was like she launched it and then she was never able to restock it. So she pulled that away. So yes, you will have times, even in the best and most laid out strategies, where you will have a setback, and that's totally fine. You're finding your footing. Maybe like the manufacturer you initially went with went under or something, and you can't really get anybody to do the formula right again, or there were issues or something like that. So she took it away, and it's totally fine, because it's a slow and steady thing. I feel like Meghan, if she comes out with something, it'll be an entire range at once. It'll be a couple of different colors. And the thing is, when it comes to makeup as well, and like anything with Meghan Markle's brands, what she is lacking is really, really good products. So Meghan Markle has an immense disadvantage in the industry, which is that she is not liked by anybody. Nobody likes Meghan Markle. So her biggest challenge is turning her haters into her consumers by making something that's so incredibly good, you can't live without it. That's a challenge of Meghan. And I don't think she sees things in that way. And I think that's part of the reason why As Ever is already failing, is that she's only catering to her fans. And yes, your fans will love it. But what you want really is to turn somebody like me, your critic, going into, I love her lipstick so much. I love that color so much. I can't find anything else like it, that I have to buy that lipstick because I can't get it anywhere else. And Meghan Markle, I don't think, has the drive to create products like that. You either have it or you don't. You're either the remora or you're the shark. And Meghan Markle is a remora. She's a guppy. She technically feeds off what other people have done before, because she doesn't have enough wherewithal and like drive and vision to be the shark. You really have to have vision. I think people will kind of get into something if you have a vision for something, even if they don't like you, even if they allegedly hate you, what have you. If you have a vision for something, you can get people on board, even if they don't necessarily like you as a person. If Meghan Markle came out with a brand, there was a strong vision. We knew exactly what she was doing, why she was doing it, what needs in the market that she's filling, not just her going up and doing an interview and going SKUs again. Like, no, SKUs don't mean anything. SKUs are basically just an internal identifying number so you can keep track of inventory. Like, that's it. There's no like magical thing every time she went SKUs. I'm like, please stop saying that. It doesn't mean anything. And anytime I feel like I see Meghan Markle talking about business, she's talking around things. She's not talking about things. Anybody, again, with half a business brain who's really been in the industry would sit there, listen to Meghan Markle's stuff, and want to pull their hair out going, how could anybody listen to this drivel and take it seriously? Because even the woman spouting it doesn't necessarily take it all that seriously. But that's Meghan Markle's, I think, challenge in the future, is that she hasn't done any of the research. She doesn't know what she wants. She doesn't know how to, let's say, add something new, different, and interesting to the industry. And so she's constantly regurgitating the things she's done before or that other people have done before and done better. And this is why nothing's working. Again, I think actually Meghan would have done really, really well going with something like stationery for a brand. As Ever stationery, I think even the name works better. I don't know what this next launch is going to be, but she told us we're not getting any new quote unquote products this year. This is the other problem too, is that Meghan runs her mouth and like nothing's like, she literally was kind of promoting As Ever in a new product launch. And then she makes this article talking about how she's not going to do anything until next year. And then all of a sudden she's doing things again. This is just like this ping pongy is just going to drive people crazy. Meghan Markle needs to have a clear set vision for her brand and her company. And she doesn't have it. And as ever, Meghan Markle will not fail unless she can figure out what that vision is. That vision is so important. That's why too, kind of one of the things for like me with this channel, which is kind of a good thing to talk about. And I need to do like a whole kind of 200K retrospective sort of video because I wanted to kind of list out all the royals I've met, all or not met, but all the royals I've seen, all the kings and queens, princes and princesses, all the ones I've seen, like, and you know, which families I've seen and everything like that. Because my vision for this channel, which is a part of the reason why I think it's been successful, is that again, you had to have vision, you had to have people kind of buy into your vision, which is that I really wanted to saw, you know, mostly I had watched according to Taz and Murky Meg, but I thought I could add something different because I watched the other royals. I really wanted more comprehensive royal coverage about stories that weren't necessarily always getting out into, let's say, the US press as much and these sorts of things. And I wanted to make it sort of the one-stop shop for kind of everything related to royals. So initially, if you go back and watch my initial videos, like way back in 2022, I said we do kind of like, we do like, I probably wanted to say gossip, but I meant to say like drama, we'll do history, we'll do movies and television. We'll just do basically everything related to royals. And that's still a lot of what I eventually want the channel to be at some point, if that's at all possible. And so, like, it would be lovely for that to be because I just didn't really see that anywhere in the way I envisioned it. And so I felt like I could add something new, unique, and interesting to this field that maybe other people just didn't have. And I think that is why the channel, in a lot of ways, has been successful. And in kind of relation to that remora and shark analogy that Becca Bloom used, one of the things I don't do, and in some ways I should do it more, but like I just don't have time. I would actually, if I had an assistant, I would have them do it, to be honest. Is I don't really watch other people's channel or other people's content related to this channel so that I can keep my channel as kind of clear and avoid distractions or comparisons as much as possible. Like that's what I've sort of always done. And so I do kind of, I'm like, maybe this is a bit of a much analogy, but I'm like a little great white shark roaming around there hunting by myself at this point, which is totally fine. I don't mind collaborating with other people and everything like that. But that's sort of kind of how I've kind of gone through and started. And I think that has served things really well here on this channel. And so I'm looking forward to growing and developing in so many different things and seeing how like this channel changes and wanting to again like pull myself back from doing too many pictures and doing more videos when I'm at events because I'm on a YouTube channel, but I always want the pictures. I'm like, oh, I can't get that out of my head. So I need to change it up. But I want to offer content and context and information that just nobody else has. And no, you can't get it anywhere else. And so I hope this channel really, really does like become that. That's why we have the Crown Report. We have different things. And yes, the Mexit drama does kind of eat up a lot of this, but there's good lessons to learn, I think, especially business wise, but also as well what Harry and Meghan are doing, which Andrew is doing, and everything all has a broader impact on the royal sphere. It really does. And so it's really important to kind of like drive and kind of get things that are kind of interesting. So anyways, I'm seeing some interesting questions. So I'm like, I kind of reading the comments too. So I've gone through all of the major stories of the day. So let's look at some of the if you guys have any comments, let me know and put them in the comment below. I says, this is from Margie says, I love that you are not just critical of royals, but get the best fair perception and explain how they react to situations which are so unimaginable for most of us. Why, thank you. Yeah, that's one of the things I think it comes from kind of my background in history, which kind of makes it interesting as well. Is like one of the things that I think is good for a historian to have is the ability to kind of take yourself out of a situation and think of it the way the person in that time period would have thought of it. And yeah, I think that's really cool. Duchess Francis says, yes, you should have your own books, not everyone else writing it. Yeah, very true. Very true. Rit says, love Beebs Kelly. Yes. Azuma says, are you able to hire an assistant. Probably next year I will at some point. I'm hoping to get somebody local, but we shall see. Missy Lulu says, I'm so glad, Brittany, that you do that. I don't like the other creators repeating the same opinions. No new points of view. Exactly. I even subconsciously, if because I'm an auditory learner, so like if I hear something from somebody else, like I might just start to it might slowly start to impact how I think of things. So I try to keep my perspectives. And of course, everybody's different. So some people might not have this issue. But for me, I made the conscious decision from the jump that I wasn't going to. I used to watch Taz and Murky Meg's videos all the time. And then I just stopped watching them completely after I started my channel. And that was a very conscious decision to keep my perspective the way I wanted it to be, if that makes sense. Alice O'Donnell says, you're always brilliant, Brittany. I'm excited to see where your channel goes. Why, thank you. Thank you. Rich says, anybody watch Lost Beyond Pluto? I love her too. She's very popular. RN Explorer says, I love the picture you took with Princess Catherine. That was very cool. That was a big coup. For sure. Melissa says, I enjoy your fashion breakdowns. She really knows a lot about it. Oh, for Beebs Kelly. Yeah. Christine says, love your class with Dan Wooten. Good stuff. Yeah, that makes sense. So that was a conscious kind of choice because Dan obviously has like a huge background in British news and everything. So it did make a lot of sense. Carol said, we have 683 likes and 1,300 in chat. Help Brittany out by liking the live stream. That is so kind if you guys do that, but you definitely don't have to, but I appreciate that, Carol. Asma says, the Crown Report is unique. Thank you. I'm glad it is. Lizzie B says, but that's her issue. She is driven by greed. She's always circulating billionaires who created something like with passion like Jamie, and she envies it. She doesn't see the hard work. Exactly. That's 100% a great way to put it, Lizzie, is that Meghan is constantly circling other people who have been really successful and just doesn't understand, I think, how they've reached that level of success. And it's not by the way Meghan's doing it, which is basically creating something that's been done by somebody else. Jared says, I don't usually spend this much time on stream, but Brittany is always a convenient exception. Why, thank you. And I did forget, we do have some super chats that came in as well. We do have Kristen, who gave a super chat here. Says, Brittany, do you even think a divorce would get a lot of attention at this point? It seems like the public is severely drained by them. I do. And the reason I do think it will be is because it's something new. So yes, people are sort of annoyed by Harry and Meghan. But sort of the thing is at this point is that sorry. What annoys them is that we keep hearing the same 6 stories over and over again. So what kind of like all of a sudden reinvigorated, you could say, discussion about Harry and Meghan was Meghan showing up at Fashion Week. That's what did it, because it's like she hasn't done that before. And so it's like, oh, this is new. So I think when they do something new, I think it will generate more interest. But at this point, like a divorce would, but at this point, like most other things, not so much. DS gave a super chat as well. Random question. Do all UK royals, including Harry and Meghan, receive an allowance just for being titled royals? If so, what would you guess that amount is? No, that is 100% not true. Royals, only the ones who are... So it's sort of, there's kind of 2 general streams of income. One is a sovereign grant, which covers like expenses, covers travel and these sorts of things for a royal within their duties. And then there are the duchies of Cornwall and Lancaster. So the duchy of, and that only goes to working royals. So the sovereign grant only goes to working royals. It does cover non-working royals if they're going to an event like Trooping the Color. So if other royals, which is not really happening anymore, which again, I find really sad. If other royals are going to Trooping the Color, like during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, they would be covered under the apparatus of the general overall security. Same thing with the coronation and these sorts of things. So that sovereign grant money, which does come from the taxpayers, would go to cover these sorts of things. When it comes to the other royals, so the more personal expense aspect of it is funded by the duchies of Cornwall and Lancaster. So Lancaster belongs to King Charles. He's the Duke of Lancaster. Queen Elizabeth was also Duke of Lancaster. She wasn't Duchess of Lancaster because you can only be the Duke of Lancaster. You can't just be the sole Duchess. That's just how it works. So the money that she got from the Duchy of Lancaster, which could be like, I want to say it's closer now to about like 30 million pounds a year. Now that might sound like a lot, but it covers all personal expenses for basically all members of the family, but the Waleses at this point. So it covers and gives income to Sophie and Edward, Princess Anne, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, and probably the Duke of Kent. So it covers them because they're still technically working royals. Now, I don't know how much of that they all get, and not to mention Charles and Camilla. So Charles and Camilla have to split that income among a lot of people. Now, it doesn't cover like the children of Sophie and Edward would be somewhat covered under that, but as soon as they become adults and have their own jobs, they would no longer get a little bit of that funding. So their parents can also like save some of that funding for a rainy day or what have you. It goes towards upkeep of properties. So Charles, although he has income coming in from Highgrove through like the various brands and these sorts of things, old homes require a lot of upkeep. So Charles personally owns Sandringham and Balmoral. He has to keep up with those two properties. They're very, very expensive. Highgrove probably mostly takes care of itself at this point based on its various kind of collaborations and its own brand and everything. So he probably doesn't have to worry about that too much. But Lancaster and Balmoral, massive estates that need to be upkeep. They're old homes. So that means a lot of upkeep. That means a lot of like management of land and these sorts of things. So that money has to be split among all those. Catherine and William have the Duchy of Cornwall. Now, I don't know if any of that income, because Charles has to split it among so many people, if William helps his father with that income a little bit, that I'm not sure about. But the Waleses have personal income from there, which is also about 20 to 30 million pounds a year, which they do pay taxes on. So does Charles, to do with, let's say, as they please. So this is what's funding their move to Forest Lodge. That is what's funding their move. Their kids' school education, personal travel, these sorts of things are funded by the Duchy of Cornwall. Now, again, William will one day have to split that among his children as his children get older. I mean, I don't think, unfortunately, William will get to hold the Duchy of Cornwall for long before he becomes the Duke of Lancaster. Unfortunately, I don't know that for sure, but just saying that's probably a strong possibility. So when it comes to, let's say, Charles, because obviously his children were almost 40 by the time he became king. So Charles had to, in addition to supporting himself and his wife, he had to give an income to Catherine and William, which was around 2 to 3 million pounds a year, and Harry and Meghan, which was probably more like 1 to 2 million pounds per year. So they got an income from Charles, basically. So Charles funded their personal life. It wasn't because they were titles, because Charles was the Duke of Cornwall. So he had this personal money, and they obviously were going to perform royal duties. They got income from elsewhere as well, like, William with his air ambulance job. But when it comes to the royal system overall, they had to split that money. That was part of Harry and Meghan's contention, is that they weren't going to get, let's say, access every year to the Duchy of Cornwall. Like, they had to split it. And so that's sort of how it works. So yeah, no royal, you don't get an allowance based on the fact that you have a title. That's just not how it works. So Beatrice and Eugenie, they had taxpayers funded security, I think, until about 2012, 2011. After that, that was pulled. That was probably the last really big part of the sovereign grant they were getting. They get covered under general engagements sometimes, of like the whole families at the coronation, trooping, whatever, they're covered. And if they're like going on an engagement for the crown or something like they did around the Jubilee, they would get like some peripheral security then, just like actually their aunts and uncles, or aunt and uncle, or aunts and uncles. So anyways, lots to talk about there. But yeah, that is sort of how it works. I hope that made sense. So Steven said, gave a super chat as well. As ever, Trademark has class 003, cosmetics. And again, not surprised by that at all. Not surprised at all. Dia says, did you see my question above? I don't know if I did. And I don't know if I answered that earlier. Hopefully I did. Sharon says, is Meghan drinking wine alone? Maybe. Christine says, Brittany speaks well off the cuff. Why, thank you. Yeah, I actually had a job where we did have to do videos, and they had like a teleprompter, and I did terribly. And I was also so nervous because I wanted to say things right, that they had like this little system where they would film one person, then go to the next and like be in one take, and I would always mess it up. So and this is part of the reason why I started the channel too, because if I had more of a job where I had to be in front of the camera more like that, I wanted more training. I'm like, well, I can train myself. And so that maybe will help me. Oh, Jenna, you're so kind. Brittany, it's not luck. You are so smart, and people like you. Oh, thank you. Arian Explorer says, yes, When were we going to Italy? I need to ask for the days off. I work as an RN in the emergency department. Yeah, so I'm hoping in April. That's sort of the plan. I need to officially request the trip. Duchess Franca. I like my money. I worked hard for it. I think it's responsible for people to repeatedly repeating the same 5 pages and charging you gold. So many lies. No one is doing their own work. Yeah. So Alice says it's cool that you have that one day you'll have this great body of work to go back over to see how your channel grew alongside the roles. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. That will be interesting. Monica says, you know what you're doing when it comes to your content. Well, thank you. And I think part of that comes from having a real passion for it. When you have a real passion for it, you don't really have to fake it. And it's like, it just makes it so much easier. And that's why I think you can see people who are not really interested in their content, just like, or interested in their own premise, they struggle to promote it because they're not really all that interested in it. Nick Sabella says, have you ever noticed that though your overall subject may be Meghan Markle, you talk a lot about yourself and how wonderful you are? It's kind of weird. So I talk and give an example from my own business just because it's what I know, to be honest. That's just the easiest way. I know some people have complained about that, but honestly, it's like the thing I know. And sometimes people have comments, which are nice. So I do read those because sometimes we do need a little bit of encouragement for ourselves as well. Cece says your success is well deserved. You have talent, charisma, and dedication. Your passion and hard work are evident. Why, thank you. Melissa says they also might stay together just for the optics. Imagine the embarrassment of word vomiting about your epic love story only to divorce. Exactly. They've kind of stuck themselves. I thought it was really interesting. This was actually in Andrew Lowney's book, Trader King, which I started reading. What I thought was super interesting is the perspective that when it comes to Edward and Wallace, is that he was basically stuck, or sorry, she was basically stuck because he created such this epic love story around them. He left the throne for her. So they had to make it. They had no other choice. And they almost trapped themselves in it. Aaron Scott says, are you going to do a spooky special? If you guys really want to, I can definitely try to pull together a spooky special. I don't have one quite together yet, but we can definitely do that. Zendane says, woot woot, 200,000 before 2026. Congrats, Britt. So well deserved for all your hard work. Hello from Denmark. Hello. I'm really hoping to get there for the New Year levies. I'm really hoping to. We'll have to see. Oh yeah, this is true too. Polish and Needle says Highgrove is owned by the Duchy of Cornwall, so King Charles rents it from his son. Exactly. So he has to keep up with all the things and everything when it comes to upkeep. And he does have businesses attached to it, which all help with that, which is really good. P Pacific says, Brittany, you must correct Dan when he says the Royal Lodge has 30 bedrooms. It's a 30-room residence. Yes, that is correct. 30-room residence. I thought that was so interesting. So DS says, thank you for the great answers. So after William becomes king, who will take over Duchy of Cornwall? George. George will automatically become the Duchy of Cornwall, Duke of Cornwall. So when Charles died, sorry. It's been 2 hours, so you'll have to forgive me. So when Queen Elizabeth died, you will remember on Catherine's and William's social media page, it said the Duke and Duchess of Cornwall and Cambridge. And the reason they did that is because automatically Prince William became the Duke of Cornwall when Queen Elizabeth died. Charles automatically became the Duke of Lancaster. And the Prince of Wales titles is an additional special title that can be bestowed upon the future heir. So the actual title for the heir to the UK is the Duke of Cornwall or Duchess of Cornwall. That is the actual title. So like you have the Duchess of Brabant in Belgium, which is the title of the heir. Duke and Duchess of Brabant, Prince or Princess of Wales, or sorry, Prince or Princess of Orange. You have Crown Prince or Princess in the Scandinavian countries. You have the Prince or Princess of Asturias in Spain. So there's a couple of titles that denote the future king or queen. So when it comes to the UK, Prince of Wales is an additional title. The actual title that denotes the future heir to, or the heir to the throne, the direct heir, is Duke of Cornwall. So SBD Girl AA says, oh, a fashion question. What did you think of Camilla's headpiece for the prayer service at the Sistine Chapel? I thought it was okay. I'm not sure I loved it, but I thought it was okay. Duchess Francis became a YouTube member. Why, thank you so much, Duchess Francis. That is awesome for you to join our little members community here. Heather says, I have no friends that really like royals. I discovered RNN during the pandemic and found my people. Yes. Yes. I love it that everybody, like, that's what the fun thing is about our tours too, is that we all come from different walks of life, but pretty much everybody on the tour has some fascination with the royals. And so it makes it really easy for everybody to talk. And so it's like, even if we have different political perspectives or lifestyle perspectives or anything like that, everybody can talk about the royals. So Lizzie B says, Brittany uses herself as an example. She's hardworking and knowledgeable. Why, thank you. Yeah, I'm not trying to, it's like I can talk about other things, but honestly, I know myself, like I know my own journey best. So that's sometimes the best examples, of course, are somebody who's had the personal experience rather than talking about somebody else who's done something, if that makes sense. Rich says, I want to barge each time she brings up their love story. Then I look back and she got busted on camera. Exists at Invictus. Really, really, yeah. RN Explorer says, I love when you talk about the different royals. I like when you talked about the different crowns of all the year. Yes, I enjoy that too. Sometimes those videos don't do as well. So sometimes I'm like, I get focused more on the Harry and Meghan side just because those videos tend to do a bit better. But as things sort of even keel out and we're able to kind of get more things, let's say, quote unquote, stabilize, we'll be able to bring in more of those discussions about the other European royals. Azuma says, I love when you talk about history. How else are you supposed to learn from it? Exactly. History is very important. Alice says, technically, Queen Elizabeth was the Duchess of Cornwall when she was a princess, but didn't have a lot to do with it, I believe. Yeah, she was still pretty young. She never became the Princess of Wales. She wasn't bestowed that title. But for some reason, at least when it comes to the Duchy of Lancaster, she can only be the Duke of Lancaster. Royally Fruit says, I heard Harriet suggesting they can become the Prince and Princess of Wales once William is king. That is not how it works. That's not how it works. Missy Lulu says, when it came to Camilla, I didn't like the veil. I didn't think she should have made it about fashion. I'm old school for the Vatican. I like to see the royal ladies demure. Yeah, I didn't like it wasn't super bad. I just thought it was just kind of if that makes sense. SBD Girl 88 says, didn't like that headpiece on Camilla, especially when I saw the close-up pictures and saw the stiff leaf shapes, not like feathers like I thought at first. Yeah, I thought close up it wasn't the best. Melissa says, I'm obsessed with tiaras. It's my dream to one day wear a real one. Me too. Me too. I like want to try to convince Bentley and Skinner. It's like, hey, I can do a whole video on the tiaras you have and can I wear them? All right, we have Candy who says, I'm with you, Brittany. I always wear slippers. I can't stand dirty feet. No, and it keeps your feet really soft too. So Heather said, didn't Queen Elizabeth go by her husband's title, the Duchess of Edinburgh, before she was queen? I think she did. So guys, we will go ahead. It is 5:03 here on the East Coast. We will go ahead and wrap it up. So guys, we will go ahead and wish you all the best of the weekend. I do have a video that I need to get out here probably today. So I probably will try to do it today. But I do have an activity this evening. And then we have, let's see, what do we have? Tomorrow we uploaded at 10. I did decide that we're just going to keep the live streams as is, but I'm going to take the different sections like I've been doing and put one up on at 10 in the morning on Saturday and do another one on Sunday as well. So people who don't really like the live stream aspect will get to go ahead and have a bit of that experience. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and I shall speak to you again very, very soon.